Okay, a very good morning to all of you. Today's topic is about the urban growth modeling. In the last class, we have discussed about different urban growth classes, the urban growth, what is urban growth, and what is the reason for the rapid urbanization. So today we will see how we can use that information for modeling our urban growth. Urban growth modeling is very important. On the basis of the past trend of urban growth, we can predict and we can go for the future scenario of the urbanization in that area. Okay, so before starting, first we should know, these are already discussed in the last class, that these three factors are very much responsible for the rapid urbanization on rapid urban growth. The population is increasing or growing day by day. There are also having increased economic activities all over the world. Most of the people are looking for good economic activities, good source of income. They are looking for good health condition, good educational facilities, medical facilities. So there are increased economic activities all over the world. That's why most of the people living in the rural area, they are now migrating to the urban area. So there is a rapid urbanization, rapid urban growth, or you can say the population is growing day by day in the urban area. And third and important part is that increased urban growth rate. The urbanization is very fast. The rate of the developmental activities, the rate of the construction of new urban area is very fast, is increased over the last few decades. So entirely, we can say the population, economic activities, and rapid urbanization, rapid urban growth is responsible for rapid and fast urbanization process all over the world. So here in the figure, you see this is an aerial view of a part of study area. You can see in 2006 there was nothing. There was no any building in that area, but just after 8 years, or just after, you can say in 2014, you can have the several buildings in that area. So this is then a simple and one of the easiest example of the urban growth in this figure. In first figure, in first image, that is of year 2006, it is having no building, where there is nothing. But in 2014, you can see a lot of constructions are there, a lot of buildings you can see here. So this is because of the rapid urban growth or rapid population growth. Okay, so as already we know that entire landscape of an study area having two components, land use and land cover. Whatever the feature you are observing on the earth, whatever the real world objects, it is categorized into two categories, land use and land cover. Land use documents how people are using the land, such as agriculture. Okay, the utilization of the available space or the utilization of the available land for different economic activities are known as land use, while land cover shows the physical and, you can say, the biophysical surface of the earth surface. It includes the forest, it includes water, it includes any kind of vegetation or any kind of other natural surfaces. So the entire landscape is composed of two factors, that is land use and land cover. So when we are talking about urbanization, when we are talking about urban growth, we should focus on the land use. What is the pattern of land use? Because land use means the use of the available land. So how we are utilizing the available land, how we are utilizing the open space for different economic activities. It may be for industrial application, it may be for residential purpose, it may be for any other commercial purpose. So the utilization of the available land for different economic activities are known as land use. So for studying the urbanization or for studying the urban growth pattern, urban growth analysis, we should focus on the use of land use and subsequently the effect of land use on the land cover. Because when we go for land use, when we go for utilization of the available space, definitely it will be at the cost of the degradation in the agricultural land, degradation in the vegetation, degradation in the forest. Okay, so land use and land cover, these are two important components when we are talking about urban growth analysis and urban growth modeling. Okay, so the land use and land cover change. whatever the changes in the land use land cover in an area is a key aspect of the urban growth. Whenever we are talking about urban growth, means we are talking about the effect of rapid urbanization or its negative effect on the land use and land cover of that area. So this kind of changes in the land use and land cover of an area is known as, you can say, land use land cover change. So the land use change is one of the most important ways that the human influence the environment. Okay, so this is the example of land use. In the first four figures you can see these are the example of land use, means how we are utilizing the land for the construction of buildings, construction of the flyovers, construction of the factories, some industries, and construction of some dams. These all activities, these all are the activities related to the land use change. While land cover is just the natural surface, it may include the vegetation, it may include some kind of agricultural land, it may have some kind of vegetation, forest, water bodies, anything. So when we are talking about urban growth, so definitely the urbanization or urban growth is affecting the land use land cover. There may be some changes in the land use land cover of an area. So before studying the urban growth pattern, before studying the urban growth analysis, we should study the changes in land use land cover. Okay, land use is very important when we are talking about the human alteration to the environment or the human alteration on the natural surface of the earth. Okay, so how we can study this land use land cover change? So the solution is geospatial technology. Geospatial technology helps us to study the spatio-temporal changes or to study the spatio-temporal dynamics of the landscape in any area. Okay, geospatial technology having multiple components. It is composed of different technologies like remote sensing, GIS, Geographical Information System, GNSS, Global Navigation Satellite System, or normally we call it as GPS. Okay, and there are several other emerging technologies like LIDAR, hyperspectral remote sensing. There may be another emerging technologies. IoT is now there. So these geospatial technologies are very much useful for studying the urban growth, and in fact you can say for studying the changes in land use land cover, because without studying the land use land cover change we cannot go for the urban growth modeling, urban growth analysis. Whatever the urbanization is there, whatever the urbanization rate in an area, it directly or indirectly affects the land use and land cover of that area. So first we should study the changes in land use land cover. After that we can go for the urban growth analysis and urban growth modeling. So what are the benefits of remote sensing, or you can say the earth observation technologies? So this earth observation technology or remote sensing provides us the data that is spatially registered. Spatially referenced data is provided by the earth observation technologies. We are having multiple satellites, we are having multiple spaceborne or you can say the airborne data sets available. Okay, and we are having the data sets at different spatial resolutions starting from 1 meter, then 5 meter, 10 meter, 20 meter, 30 meter. So now now a series of earth observation data sets are available at different spatial resolution. Okay, second benefit of remote sensing technology, that it is an excellent data source for landscape coverage. It can cover the entire landscape, it can cover the large area of over the landscape, and it does not affected by the political boundaries. Okay, you can have the entire landscape, you can have the information about the entire landscape without affecting by the political boundaries. And third and most important benefit of remote sensing technology is the availability of temporal data sets. Okay, when we are talking about urban growth, we need to have temporal data sets, like how much urbanization is there over the 30 years, 20 years, 50 years. For that we need to have past year data sets, like in 1980s, 1920, 2000, 2010. So when we are in the need of past year data sets, so we have the facilities by earth observation technology that provides us the temporal data sets. And because of the availability of temporal data sets from different Earth observation satellites, it is very much easy to study the urban growth. What is the past trend of urban growth, and on the basis of the past trend of urbanization and urban growth, we can predict, we can go for the future scenario by applying that pattern, that information. So these are the three key benefits of using Earth observation technology, or in short, we call it as a remote sensing technology. So it is very well known to you. No need to go in detail. Okay. So this is the figure showing the entire mechanism, how we can use remote sensing, GIS, and other data sources, other kind of data sets for urban growth modeling, urban growth planning. So first, we need to define the objectives. First, we need to identify the objectives. Then we can go for the resource inventory. We can start collecting the required data sets of that urban growth planning, urban growth modeling. Then we can analyze the existing situation, existing scenario of that urban area. Okay. After analyzing the existing scenario, existing condition of land use, land cover in that area, then we can go for the modeling and projection. After performing the urban growth modeling, after performing the projection for future scenario, we can use this information for different developmental activities for planning in the future. Then selection of planning options, we can have multiple planning options. We need to select the most appropriate, most optimal planning option, and then we can go for the implementation of that planning. And after implementation of the plan, after implementation of a urban planning scheme, we have to evaluate and we have to monitor whether it is implemented in a right way, or there are some kind of errors and drawbacks in the implementation of that planning. So you can see here, there are several stages in urban planning and urban growth modeling. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 8 stages, and out of all 8 stages, you need to have the data sources. You need to have the utilization of remote sensing technique, GIS technique, and other data sources and other modeling techniques are required for getting the planning and urban growth modeling of that area. So this is the way you can say, you can see that this is the multi-stage process. Urban growth planning and urban growth analysis, urban growth modeling is a multi-stage process, and it requires different data sources. It requires GIS, it requires remote sensing technique, so that we can integrate remote sensing, GIS, and different data sources, and to get the to achieve our objective in the terms of urban growth analysis or urban growth modeling. So this is the way, this is the simple diagram showing the integrated approach of remote sensing, GIS, and the other geospatial technologies for getting the urban growth planning and management activities. Okay, so this is the figure showing the dynamics of land use, land cover. How the land use, land cover of a area can be changed over the period of time. So in this figure, you can see there is a land use, land cover scenario of a study area. It is in 1974, then 1988, 1998, and 2008. So you can see over the period of time, the developed area or the built up area is increased. Okay, whereas reduction in other classes, like there are reduction in the agricultural land, there are reduction in the, you can say, the wild grassland. Okay, and bare land is also there. So this is a dynamics of the land use, land cover. The land use, land cover is a dynamic process. Whatever the changes in land use, land cover can be studied over the period of time, that is starting from like here as example, it is starting from 1974, then 1988, 1998, and 2008. So this is the way in which we can use the dynamics of land use, land cover for different purposes. Okay, so first, before going for the urban growth analysis, urban growth modeling, we need to focus on the dynamics of land use, land cover. We need to study the changes in land use, land cover, and it will be further used for urban growth modeling and urban growth planning. Okay, so there are several factors that can affect the land use, land cover in direct way or indirect way. Okay, so there are three important factors that can affect the land use land cover of an area. First one is spatial factors. Spatial factors are predominantly changes over the space, but it remains relatively static with respect to the time. Like some of the factors only changes over the space, not over the time, like digital elevation model. Digital elevation model is a spatial factors. Okay, it doesn't change over the uh, time. It only changes over the spatial scale. Second important factor is spatiotemporal factor, that can change over the both and time space. Third important factor is temporal factor. Temporal factor changes over the time only, but not spatially. That is national gross domestic product. GDP of a study, GDP of an area or GDP of a country changes over the time, but doesn't having any spatial aspect. And spatio-temporal factors having both spatial and temporal aspects. So it can be changed over the both time and space, like the proximity to the primary roads, the proximity to the primary roads, the proximity to the major highways can be changed over spatial and temporal factors, whereas the spatial factors only changes over the space, not over the time. So the spatial factors and spatiotemporal factors are considered as the direct factors that directly affect the land use land cover of an area, whereas the temporal factor is a indirect factor. They are also having some effect on the land use land cover, but they are affecting indirectly. Okay, so the entire change in land use land cover is having multiple factors that is affecting their dynamics and affecting their scenario. So before studying land use land cover change, before going for the studying the dynamics of land use land cover, we need to first identify what kind of spatial, spatio-temporal and temporal factors are present over here. Okay, so it is very important to know the factors. What are the factors that are affecting the urbanization, that are affecting the changes in land use land cover? So this is the way you can have different spatial, spatio-temporal and spatial factors affecting the land use land cover. So urban sprawl or urban growth, they are some kind of major issues that comes rise in the beginning of 21st century. Urban sprawl is a major problem in the course of the urban developmental, because right now most of the countries are focusing on the urban development. They are having various developmental activities. They are having different infrastructure developmental activities. So urban sprawl is a major problem in the course of the urban development in some countries in the beginning of 21st century. And most of the urban sprawl is considered to be the expansion of the low density that is accompanied by the series of environmental and socio-economic issues. Okay, so this urban sprawl is the expansion of the low density urban area into higher density urban area, that can also having effect on the environment and socio-economic condition of that area. It has been the bargaining issues of the study in the present developmental situation, where increasing population have paved a way for rapid expansion of the urban centers. RSGIS based studies carried out to comprehend the process of sprawl. Okay, so because of the increasing population, the rapid urbanization, because of the rapid urban population, okay, these kind of urban sprawl study and urban sprawl thing is very important, and remote sensing and GIS based study can be carried out to overcome the problem, to study the process of the urban sprawl in an area. So first we need to define what is urban sprawl, or in short, simply we call it as a sprawl. The sprawl is a term that is often used to describe the perceived inefficiencies of the development, that includes the disproportionate growth of the urban area and excessive development. Okay, it's a perceived inefficiencies of the development. Okay, and disproportionate growth of the urban area and excessive development. Urban sprawl is the pattern, you can say it's a pattern and density and rate of new urban growth that creates the appearance of urban sprawl. Population dynamics are often cited as a driving force behind the urban sprawl. So population growth is one of the driving factor, is one of the most important factor behind the rapid urban sprawl behind the rapid urban growth. So the cause of the urban sprawl includes the population growth, economic activities, and proximity to the resources and basic amenities. Most of the people wants to have good social life, good you can say good medical facilities. They want to have good health, you can say the educational facilities, good they want to have good amenities, utilities. So because of the rapid population growth, people are now moving from a rural area to urban area for better economic, you can say the better economic options. And they are also having the tendency to use to have the better educational medical facilities, and they want to have good and very important, you can say the amenities and utilities are also important in terms of urban sprawl. Okay, so these are the three factors that can be that can be the major causes of the urban sprawl. Okay, so now moving to the next slide. Okay, but there was a debate over the urban sprawl. Okay, the pattern, density, and the rate at which built-up land develops are the basis for the debate between urban sprawl versus urban growth. How we can define urban sprawl and what is the difference between urban sprawl and urban growth? As a contemporary planning issues, the debate over sprawl is framed by different disciplines and their understanding of how and why urban areas grow. Okay, although urban sprawl is a type of urban growth, sprawl is dependent on the way in which development occurs. Okay, sprawl is a type of urban growth. Without urban sprawl, there will be no urban growth. So before studying the urban sprawl, we need before studying the urban growth, we need to study the urban sprawl, because urban sprawl is a type of urban growth. And urban sprawl provides us the information about the process of the development in an area, how the developmental activities are there, what kind of developmental processes are occurring in an area is known as urban sprawl. And on the basis of the information of urban sprawl, we can identify whether it is a urban growth or not. So for studying the urban growth, we need to first study the pattern. We need to first study the processes and mechanism of the developmental activities in that area, that is known as urban sprawl. So this is the difference between urban sprawl and urban growth. Okay, so urban growth is often confused with urban sprawl. These two words are most commonly used, and they are very much similar to each other. So most of the people get confused with the term urban growth and urban sprawl. However, these two terms having distinct distinction, because both are having different meaning. So the cities often experience the growth either physically or by population or by combination of both, whereas urban sprawl is much more complicated because it may or may not be quantified as urban growth. However, a city grows can create the appearance of urban sprawl. How a city grows, how there is urbanization, how there is urban growth, it can be appeared as a urban sprawl. So such urban growth may appear as a low density leapfrog pattern or linear or strip developmental activities. So urban sprawl may have different types in an area. Okay, so I will discuss one by one what are different types of urban growth patterns. Urban sprawl is much more complicated. It's already discussed with you. It may or may not qualify as urban growth. Okay, so here there are several definitions of urban sprawl given by several authors, but and there is no clear cut definition. There is no universally accepted definition of urban sprawl. Okay, that is shared by all who study urban phenomena, because urban sprawl is a way of the development. Each and every city may have different developmental activities. Each and every city may have different process of urbanization. So there is no universal and no common definition of urban sprawl is available, but there are few definitions given by some authors, like Ottensman in 1997. They defines the urban sprawl as the scattering of new developments on the isolated tracts that is separated from the other area by vacant land. And another definition was given by Ewing in 1997. Okay, he characterized that urban sprawl as a leapfrog land use pattern that strip the commercial development along the highways and very low density single use developments. Then in 2001, Zhang states that the urban sprawl results from poorly planned, large-scale new residential, commercial, and industrial developments in areas that is previously not used for the urban purposes. So there is no universally accepted definition of urban sprawl because most of the cities, most of the part of the world having different kinds of developmental activities, different kinds of urbanization process. So depending on the local urbanization process, we can have different definitions for urban sprawl, but for understanding, you can have any of the definition given by these three authors as per your convenience. You can remember one of the definition given by Ottensman, Eving, and Zhang. Okay. So there are three major types of urban sprawl. First one is linear growth that occurred along the roads. Second one is cluster growth. It is a kind of urban sprawl in the form of clusters, in the form of groups. Then leapfrog growth. Three types of growth of urban area is there. Okay, this definition, these types of urban growth sprawl was given by Berkeley. Okay, this is a source from Berkeley's thesis. So linear growth is the growth of the urbanization in a linear pattern. The linear pattern of sprawl is classified as a high and medium density built up areas of the development located along the highways. Okay, if the urban growth or urban sprawl is along the highways, then this kind of urbanization, this kind of sprawl is known as linear growth. So in this case, most of the high and medium density built up areas will be constructed, will be developed along the highways. So you have seen, like you have seen along most of the highways, you have seen most of the buildings, most of the urban areas are along the highways. Okay, if there is urbanization along the highways and they are having high and medium density built up areas, then these kind of urban growth, these kind of sprawl is known as linear growth. Means linear means they are following a linear pattern. If there is a highway, so they are following the highway for the developmental activities. They can have the high and medium density built up areas along the highways. Now cluster growth or cluster expansion. So if we have the urbanization, if we have the urban growth in the form of clusters of groups, okay, some urban area is developed here, then another urban area is developed at some distance, another urban area developed at another space, another place. So the cluster or expansion growth takes place when extensive commercial development occurs in a linear pattern along both sides of the major roadways. To detect cluster growth, linear growth factors need to be excluded. In order to exclude the linear growth factor, growth data along the traffic routes is needed to be picked out. Here's the problem in choosing buffer distance. If the distance is too small, that can effectively influence from the major traffic routes that could not be completely eliminated. Okay, and if it's not too big, the necessary growth data might be excluded as well. In this case, this project uses 1 mile buffer distance for the main traffic routes, the same as linear growth pattern, and 50 meter for the others. So in this figure, it is very clear what is cluster growth. When there is a urbanization, there is growth along the linear road in the form of some high and medium density urban area, that is linear growth. But when there is a urbanization, there is a urban sprawl in the form of groups, in the form of some small clusters along the highways, along any major road, then it will be considered as cluster growth. And third type of sprawl is leapfrog sprawl. Leapfrog means leapfrog development occurs when the developers build new residence, new industrial or commercial areas at some distance from the existing urban area. Okay, if new residential areas have been developed, have been built at some distance from the existing urban area, so this kind of process, this kind of urbanization is known as leapfrog growth. Okay, so in most of the cases, in case of leapfrog growth, we bypass the vacant parcel located closer to the city. It's far away from the existing urban area, means it's far away from the city. The medium density areas with low connectivity indicates leapfrog patterns. We are having well developed area that but these well-developed areas are at some distance from the existing urban area with low connectivity, because it's far away from the existing urban area. So that's why there will be less low connectivity. Okay, and these are the medium density urban areas. So leapfrog growth, right now in most of the cities you can have the appearance of leapfrog growth, because you have seen most of the residential area, most of the commercial buildings and commercial areas have been developed at some distance from the main city. Okay, because of this there is very less connectivity, and these are the kind of medium densities area that will having more developed area in comparison to the existing urban area. So this is the leapfrog growth type of urbanization. Okay, so after studying the urban growth pattern, urban growth analysis, urban growth types, now what is the need of the modeling? Modeling is a kind of tool. Land use modeling or land use change modeling is a kind of process. It's a tool to support the analysis and the causes and consequences of land use dynamics. If there is urbanization, if there is rapid urban growth, so what are the causes of that urban growth? What are the causes of the rapid dynamics of the land use, and what should be the consequences, or what will be the consequences of these kind of urban growth or land use dynamics? So the land change model or land use change model is a tool that supports the analysis of the causes and consequences of land use dynamics. So the scenario analysis with land use models can support land use planning and policy. The models, or you can say the land change models, are capable of capturing the aspects of the complex dynamics, because the land use dynamics is a complex scenario. There may be several factors, there may be multiple factors behind the land use dynamics. So you need to identify the factors and variables behind that land use dynamics, and then you can go for the modeling tool. You can use the modeling tool that can capture the aspects of the complex dynamics that is involved in the land use change, that can support the understanding of these dynamics. So the good land change model have several characteristics. It should be spatially explicit, means it should have some spatial information. It should be spatially referenced data sets, and it should be quantifiable. It will be very much easy to identify and quantify the values. It should be able to examine the total landscape and urban growth in all areas. It, the good land change model should maintain the spatial pattern and configuration. It should be able to display the emergence of the growth over the time, and good or you can say the efficient land change model has the historical depth and is consistent over the time, and it should be intuitive, interpretable, easy to calculate, and does not require much data input. So these are the major characteristics of a good land change model. How we can have land change model? What are the characteristics of land change model? So it should be based on these characteristics. These are the major characteristics of a good and efficient land change model. So if we are talking about land change, if we are talking about the urbanization or urban growth, there are several factors, there are several drivers. These are the drivers or factors responsible for any kind of change in that urban area. So the most of the land change models or most of the urban growth models consider the land use change as a function of the selection of socioeconomic and biophysical variables. If there is a change in an urban area, if there is a rapid urbanization, there is a rapid urban growth. So what are the regions, what are the factors that are responsible for this rapid urbanization? It is very important to consider, it is very important to identify the driving forces or driving factors behind the rapid urbanization. So it may be any socioeconomic factor, it may be any biophysical factors. Socioeconomic factor includes population density, literacy rate, age group, or any other thing. Biophysical variables include the humidity, temperature, precipitation, any kind of biophysical properties of that area. So the socioeconomic factors and biophysical factors and maybe the responsible driving forces behind the land change or behind the rapid urbanization, rapid urban growth in an area. So we need to first identify the driving forces, different kinds of driving factors, different variables that are responsible for the land change model. So most of the land change model is a function of the selection of different socioeconomic and biophysical variables. Okay, yeah, here this is there are these are the some common driving factors, driving variables. Okay, the driving forces, driving variables behind the rapid urbanization, rapid population growth, or you can say the change in the land use, land cover, land use dynamics, having infrastructure extension. Because of the extension of the infrastructure like the transportation network, road network, railway network, for the extension and the development of new markets. Okay, the development of new settlements, new urban area, or the existence of the private companies like hydropower plants, mining activities. Okay, there may be the factors because of the agricultural expansion. Okay, agricultural expansion includes the permanent cultivation, shifting cultivation, cattle ranching. Then there may be the urbanization. There may be the urbanization because of the wood extraction, that is a commercial wood extraction, fuel wood. And there may be other factors like predisposing environmental factors, land characterization, soil type, topography, forest fragmentation. There may be different biophysical drivers like forest fire, droughts, floods. Okay, there may be some social factors, that is having war, that is having social disorder, abrupt displacement, economic shocks. Okay, demographic factors will also be there. These are some socioeconomic factors like natural increment in the fertility and mortality, migration from the rural area to urban area. This is an important driving factor behind the rapid urbanization, population density, the distribution of the population or the life cycle. Then economic factors I have already discussed. Most of the peoples are moving from the urban rural area to urban area for better economic resources, better economic opportunities. That leads to the growth in the market area, that is also responsible for the commercialization. There is some economic structures, urbanization. There is rapid industrialization. Because of the rapid industrialization, most of the factories are there. So that is a responsible factor, that are the variable for the rapid urbanization, rapid population growth. Technological factors are also there. It includes the agro-technical changes, application in the wood sector, agriculture production factors. There are some policy factors like formal policies in case of economic development credits, policy, climate, and policy rights. Cultural factors are also there, the public attributes and values and beliefs, then individual and household behavior. So these are some underlying forces, these are some underlying factors that are responsible for the rapid urbanization and rapid population growth of an urban area. So this is the source taken by Geest and Lambin in 2002. So you can see the urbanization or the change in the land use, land cover may be because of several factors. So you need to identify the most appropriate and most important driving factors behind any change in land use, land cover of an area. Without knowing the driving factors, we cannot go for the land change modeling. We cannot go for the urban growth modeling. So driving factors needs to be considered, needs to be identified before going for the urban growth modeling and urban growth analysis. Okay, so these are some common driving factors, driving forces. It includes the biophysical factors. It also includes socioeconomic factors. We need to identify any one of them, and then we can go for the urban growth modeling and urban growth analysis. So this is the entire mechanism of land change modeling. Okay, land change modeling establishes the statistical relationship with different variables that are related to the change of that study area. Okay, whatever the changes in an area is totally dependent on the driving factors, driving variables. So land change modeling works on the basis of the statistical relationship between different variables and how much change in that urban area. So this is the figure showing the process of land change modeling. Okay, in land change modeling, we should have the non-spatial and spatial information about the driving factors of the changes. First, we need to have the driving factors. driving factors may be done by the non-spatial analysis. Then it will be used as a land use demand. Then another important factor is spatial analysis. Spatial analysis is based on the location of that driving factors. We need to identify the driving factors, driving variables, that is non-spatial analysis. Then after getting the driving factors, we need to identify the location of that driving factors. The location means spatial information. It can be done by the spatial analysis. So we can use spatial analysis and non-spatial analysis of the driving factors, driving forces, or any kind of variables, socioeconomic or biophysical variables. Then it will be used for land use demand and land use allocation. Land use demand tells us the amount, and land use allocation tells us the location of that change, location of that changes. So this is the way in which we can apply land change model. We can do land change modeling by applying different driving factors that are responsible for the you can say the landscape dynamics or change in the urban area or urban growth or urbanization. Okay, so land change modeling is a important technique in urbanization and urban growth modeling. You can call it as a urban growth modeling also, because we have already discussed that urbanization is directly or indirectly affected by the land use land cover change. Before going for the urbanization, before going for the study of the urban growth and urban sprawl, we need to study the landscape of that study area. That includes the land use and land cover. Okay, so first we need to do for land use land cover analysis, land use land cover modeling. After that, we can easily apply these kind of changes, these kind of modeling results for urban growth modeling, because ultimately the urban growth is changing the land use land cover. So first we need to study the land use land cover, then we can use this information, we can go for the urban growth modeling and urban growth analysis. Okay, so this is the way in which we can do the land change modeling by using different driving factors that can be responsible for the rapid urbanization on the dynamics of land use land cover. The remaining part of the land change modeling or urban growth modeling will be discussed in the next class. It's about today's lecture, and if you have any question there, you can ask after the lecture. The quiz related to today's lecture is uploaded on your LMS. You can attempt the quiz on LMS and answer the questions. Thank you very much for today's lecture.